So today we'll be talking about how the fair trade of chocolate has contributed to the sustainable development of our world. First off, let's talk about what sustainable development really is.
So the most common way people interpret sustainable development is by the way people use resources without the resources running out. It is the ability to meet everyone's needs of the present without affecting the needs of future generations. Basically, it's just the concept of being able to use our resources wisely while keeping future generations in mind.
Another way to look at it is through the concept of priority. Sustainable development can also mean the poorer countries' needs are more important, are our main priority. We put the poorer countries' needs ahead of ours.
Now that you know a little bit more about sustainable development, let's talk more about its positive connection to fair trade. But what really is fair trade?
Fair trade is about decent prices and working conditions, local sustainability, and fair terms of trade for farmers and workers in the developing world. By getting companies to pay decent prices, which must never fall lower than the market price, fair trade addresses unfair conventional trade, which traditionally discriminates against the poorest, weakest producers. It enables them to have more freedom and to have more control over their lives.
Now let's talk about the fair trade of chocolate. When farmers and laborers are paid a fair price for the products they produce, rather than being exploited for cheap labor, that is considered fair trade. Because they are paid a fair wage, producers can avoid cost-cutting practices that sacrifice quality and are destructive to the environment. For example, fair trade chocolate is typically organic and shade-grown, meaning it is grown under the canopy of the rainforest rather than in a clear-cut field.
The essential characteristic of fair trade cocoa is that producer organizations receive a higher price for their cocoa beans. The fair trade price represents the necessary condition for the producer organizations to have the financial ability to fulfill the above requirements and to cover their certification fees. It is calculated on the basis of world market prices plus fair trade premiums.
Fair trade helps to make cocoa farming in places like Cote d'Ivoire and Ghana more sustainable through payment of the fair trade premium, to invest in business or community projects so farmers can better provide for themselves and their communities.
Development programs are useless if they don't consider producers' needs.
Even as cocoa prices rise, farmers have not been capturing their fair share. Growers in West Africa are likely to receive just 3.5% to 6.4% of the final value of a chocolate bar. Lower prices paid to farmers result in low productivity and poverty in farming communities. Their communities have poor education and healthcare services and lack electricity and decent sanitation, with water only available from communal wells.
Now let's take a look at the positive side of the fair trade of chocolate and how it enables sustainable development. Second on the list of the most favored chocolates is Cadbury, one of the very few companies who fair trade chocolate.
Cadbury Dairy Milk has been fair trade since 2009 and was the first mainstream chocolate brand to become fair trade certified. Fair trade and Cadbury have achieved significant impact and change since beginning to work together almost a decade ago. For example, farming income has increased 49% more and cocoa yield increased 37% more in Ghanaian cocoa life communities than in communities outside the program. By enabling the establishment of stronger farming organizations in Ghana, who facilitated the delivery of many benefits to farmers and their communities. These include micro-saving and loan schemes, providing agricultural inputs, and training on income diversification and environmental sustainability.
Another company that produces fair trade chocolate is Divine Chocolate, a company more popular in the UK. Divine is also very unique. It's the only mainstream chocolate company 44% owned by the farmers who supply its cocoa, so they share Divine profits as well as receiving the fair trade price for their cocoa. Divine is made with cocoa bought from Kuapa Koku at the guaranteed minimum fair trade price of $2,000 per ton, which protects the farmers from the volatility of the market. The cooperative receives an additional premium of $200 per ton, which the cooperative invests in their own projects to improve the farmers' living, health and education standards, and farming productivity.
Now that we've covered everything you need to know about the fair trade of chocolate and its contribution to sustainable development, let's connect what we've learned to economic globalization.
With the increasing demand for chocolate, its production has contributed to forces and dimensions of globalization. One of its biggest impacts is on one of its forces, which is trade. Companies produce, export, and import their chocolate to satisfy customers while satisfying their farmers with reasonable wages and decent working environments. We become more connected through the fair trade of chocolate as we become more aware of the impacts poor wages and poor environments would have on the farmers and the products we consume. With the fair trade of chocolate, both ends are satisfied.
Fair trade also contributes to transnational corporations. Mainstreaming of the fair trade market, which controversially includes sourcing from larger commercial farms and plantations, has succeeded in raising consumer demand, which satisfies a number of the objectives of the fair trade campaign. To be specific, to increase the volume of fair trade sales and raise the visibility of the movement, suggesting that the enabling of producers and workers to benefit from fair trade. But it has also allowed transnational corporations to flex their market power muscle and renegotiate the rules of fair trade.
Hopefully, you guys have learned something new and encourages you to support fair trade companies. Bye!